Hey everyone, today is Friday, the 20th of July. Uh, Last night I was playing some Star Trek Online after I got home from my Star Wars game, and I was like, oh, what the hell? So I shelled out 125 Zen to get a master key, and I opened up a Tholian lockbox on a whim. And inside, I got the subspace teleportation console. Now, I looked at the Iowa, and I was like, what can I replace? Because I already had all my console slots taken up. And I looked at the transwarp computer that I got from having the advanced heavy cruiser way back, and I pulled it off that and I put it on the Iowa to enhance my transwarp cooldowns and to improve my warp core efficiency ability. When I pulled it off, now I did this in system space so I could actually see the actual effects going on. When I pulled off the console, I noted a 1-point drop in power to the shields, a 2-point drop in power to engines, and a 2-point drop in power to auxiliary. And I felt that was an okay sacrifice. So for combat, what I do is I now have two things I need to do before I get into combat with the Iowa. I need to make sure that the Aegis engines are equipped, because normally when I'm traveling around I have the Borg engines equipped so that I go faster. And then I swap out the transwarp computer for use in sector space only, more or less, for the subspace teleportation console. This is a really cool thing. What it does is you target an enemy, you're within 10 kilometers of them. You hit the button and it teleports you 3 kilometers on the other side of them. This is great. So now what I'm thinking is I'm doing an attack run on a big enemy or something, and I'm flying straight at them, and I strafe them, I wipe out their entire shield facing on that side, and I pass right through, I hit the button, bam, I'm on the other side, and I pound on the same empty shield facing again. This is perfect for the Iowa strategy. I'm also contemplating, I don't know if I'll actually do this, getting rid of beam array fire at will in lieu of torpedo spread. Now, the reason behind this is that I've noticed that in these big furball fights, beam array fire at will does not do a lot of damage. It's actually a better skill designed for fewer targets. So if you're fighting one guy, yeah, you'll melt the guy with it because you're just going bang, 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 bang all day long. Well, at least for 10 seconds. With torpedo spread, it's more finite, but it also does this massive amounts of burst damage. So I'm playing around with the idea. I'm also playing around with the idea of switching from the Tetrions that are currently on the ship to phasers. I won't be doing the 2.5% chance to do an extra 300 some odd shield damage, but instead I'll have the 2.5% chance to disable one of their subsystems for 5 seconds. So weapons, shields, engines, or auxiliary. So, I don't know. Either way, the chance of it happening is the same. And, on the one hand, it's you get rid of shields on all facings. So, I have a chance of getting rid of 1,200 total shield points. Or, I turn off a system for a few seconds. So, I don't know. I am tempted to go back to the phasers, if only because they show up a lot better in space. The orange beams make a very good appearance. The blue beams from Tetrions, they also don't sound the way they used to. They changed the sound effect when season 6 hit. So they sound like you're shooting ice beams, which is cool. I mean, yeah, no pun intended. But it's interesting. And I still love the Tetrions, and I love being the ship that shoots blue beams. But the Iowa had kind of standard weapons for its day. It had, you had the 16-inch guns, which the bigger battleships were running 18-inchers. You had the 20 caliber machine guns. You had the Bofors, which were also used on the ground as well as on boats, in single, dual, and quad formations, or uses. So, I mean, you had all these standard weapons on this astoundingly well-designed ship. So I'm looking at that. I'm still thinking about thinking about keeping the Quantums because they're working really well. But if I want to, if it comes to it, I might switch to the Photons and just ridiculously rapid fire those, because as I've said in the past, I have 3 photon projectile weapons officers that are specifically designed so that there's a 20% chance that I reduce the cooldown of the torpedo launcher by 5 seconds. 3 times. 20%, 20%, 20%, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. I can get rid of a cooldown on a torpedo launcher. Having photons with these 3 duty officers, there's almost no point, because the quantums, they do more damage, and by having these guys there, I compensate for the 8-second cooldown, whereas photons have a 6-second. So I compensate for that 8-second cooldown very handily. Worst case scenario, I actually do have to wait the 8 seconds for a torpedo to fire. Best case scenario, just like that. So anyways, I'm constantly on the lookout for ways to improve the Iowa. I'm still looking around. I'm looking at weapons. I'm looking at set equipment. I've got ideas. Where I've got my eyes open for what I want to do next, and that is the joy of playing the Iowa. That in the meantime, while I'm building up resources, I have this opportunity to see what's coming next, to determine whether or not I want it. So I'm looking into the future, possibly doing some more STFs and building up EDCs and rare Borg salvage to hopefully trade that in for other stuff. What I might do is, because I only need 2 more parts for the Borg set, I might just finish out the Borg set and say I have it. And apparently it's pretty easy to get these days. They're 10 EDCs a piece, I guess. I already have the engines and the console. All I need is the deflector and the shields. So I don't know if I actually want the Borg set or not, but I might as well finish it. I do know I already have the Breen set. I already have the Jemadar set. I'm looking into the higher end sets like the Omega and Mako sets for Starship equipment. More specifically, I'm also looking at the ground equipment, the Mako set for the ground, because of the auto remodulating phaser rifle. So there's that. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough about Star Trek Online, so until next time.